folks, and welcome to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. Today it's a very special occasion, Hot Potters, because this is the very first Mr H's Hot Pot video with little Toby. He's there in the pram, just give him a quick leave Mrs H. So it's a family affair, this video. Now it's only a short video, and where I've come to today with the family is Stanley Park, which is in Blackpool. We've just been for a walk round there. And just off Stanley Park, Mrs H told me about a bit of a strange incident that happened on this estate here at the back. Now, I'm stood where it's just a little field now, but it was once part of that estate at the back, which is known as Park Lea Estate, is it, Mrs H?
It is. And
it was built in the late 80s. And what happened was, they built it on subsidence soil. So part of the estate sank. Now, I do remember that when I was learning to bricklay, and I was doing flashing the old silver blade in the colleges there, being told about this estate, what had happened was, it was subsidence, like I said. I think there's man workings under here. And part of the estate just started sinking about 3 years after the houses on this area of land here was completed. And the cracks were that big in the houses, as you could get your fist in them. Now, they were built by Fairclough Homes, and Fairclough's tried to say, well, it's not our problem, you know, you can't sue us, we just built the homes. It was the people who did the soil samples and, you know, the land surveyors. Well, nobody ever remembers them, do they? You only ever remember the house builders. And like I said, eventually they settled out of court in the 1990s and just demolished these 14 and created this little area here. But you can see how much the land sank there, just looking at it there. And you take a look there, that's the estate over the back, like I say. And these was luxury homes. You know, there was at the time there was like £1 million homes. It wasn't literally £1 million, but it was very expensive homes. And in the local paper there was advertising it as the place to be. Yeah, if you want big cracks in your homes and all sorts. There were windows falling out and all kinds, wasn't there, Mrs. H?
They were quite impressive to look at when we used to drive past.
Yeah, there was holes appearing all over, and you know, roadways just cracking and everything. We'll make our way round onto estate, and you'll see what it should have looked like. But it was a big legal battle, and it took them a very long time before Fairclough's finally accepted responsibility for it and just sort of wanted to bury it. But underneath here is probably the foundations to the original homes. Like I said, Fairclough's, they just wanted to bin it, and sort of a bad mark against the name. We all know the old jokes about Barrett homes, don't we, being built out of straw. Well, Fairclough's weren't far behind. Anyway, we'll make our way onto the estate now. We'll take a look at what it should have looked like, then we'll wrap this video up. Now, before we make our way round to the estate over there, the good part of the estate, the part that didn't sink, we'll just take a little look at this little bit of land here where, as I say, at one time 14 homes once stood. There's nothing here today for to tell you that houses once stood on this ground, but the original borehole, which is there in front of you, that would have been in the middle of this part of the estate at the time, and they drilled right down into the ground, and the idea was they could measure just how bad the subsidence was in this area. Afterwards they just filled it in, and it looks like they've put a little bit of a concrete bar in it there just to cap it off. But yeah, you know, 14 homes, which is 14 families' dreams, was shattered here back in the late 80s, early 90s. Right then, we're going to make our way onto the road there and onto the estate. Now, this is the first house here that's near the affected area as we make our way up towards the little entranceway that will let us dip back into the estate. And as we're making our way along here, if you take a look at that garden wall, you can see that it's all ruptured there at this point here. Now, some might argue that maybe it's that tree there that's causing all the problems. But if that were the case, then the root system would lift the wall from the bottom upwards, not halfway. So I would say that unfortunately this house here, just see it through the undergrowth there, that's fallen victim to the subsidence as well. So if I was the owner of that one, I'd get it on the market pretty sharpish. Anyway, we're going to make our way up now, a little bit further, and then head on to the estate itself and take a little look around. And this is the half of the estate that didn't sink. This is what it should have looked like. As you can see, they're pretty impressive houses. There should have been another 14 to this estate, just over the other side there. Wasn't there also talk that they took trees out of this area too quickly as well?
Yeah, so the roots hadn't...
Yeah, the idea is if there's a
off.
wooded area, you're supposed to stagger it off and take trees out, like every other one or something like that.
Yeah.
They just ripped them all out. The whole estate looks hiddly-piddly and on an hill though, doesn't it?
It does.
But no, I don't think I'd like one of these houses, to be honest. Right, folks, well, that was it. It was just a quick little look at that estate in Blackpool that sank in the 1980s. Right, folks, we're going to get off now. We're going to head back to our digs because I think we're going to have a film evening tonight, aren't we, Mrs. A?
We are, with open fire and pizza.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So, like I said, we're going to get off and we're going to do a little bit of shopping for that. So, until the next time, folks, from myself, from Mrs. H, from little Toby James, and from the girls, this list's getting longer and longer, isn't it? It is. Bye-bye for now.